I hope so. This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. You see it?
No, I don't see it on YouTube yet, but maybe I'm being impatient. Oh, yep, it's on.
Okay, good. We're gonna pretend it's live. I hope so. Awesome. This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Great.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. I am talking to my friend Warren Redlick. We just watched Elon Musk, and we thought that now would be a good time to hop on here and just kind of spontaneously spur of the moment chat about Starship and kind of some of the new details that we have from our fearless leader Elon. Warren, so what are you thinking so far?
Hey, let's just check Michael BD39. Thank you for your chat comment. Just make sure, let us know if you can hear us, guys. If you guys can hear us, if there's any sound issues, let us know. Sounds like everybody can hear us and we're doing well. I thought it was an absolutely spectacular presentation. There was a lot of stuff that we've already known, that we already knew, but there were a lot of little tidbits here and there that was new information that got me excited. And, I'm going to be going through it. I recorded it. I'm going to go through it like crazy and figure out, what was new there and what we can learn from it. Very, very excited to see whenever Elon speaks at that length and talks that much, there's nuggets in there that you don't catch until you watch it 2 or 3 times.
Right.
So,
First and foremost, Warren and I have been trying to plan when the heck we're going to go back there to hopefully see, the orbital launch. So it's sounding like January. That gives us kind of an idea of when we can book our next trip, right?
Yes. Well, that's going to be combined with Fit and Flirty, of course.
See, they don't even know about that.
No, they don't need to know.
But yeah, so that's exciting. They'll be testing all throughout December, no surprise there, and then January. And there were, like you were saying, there's so many details that we have to sift through with that conversation. But what like initially stands out to you as something new?
I think the biggest, there was a lot big. So one big thing was that he expects to send 2 or 3 uncrewed missions to Mars first to make sure that they can land safely, because obviously you don't want to send the human crew and not land safely. So if they can stick the landing 3 times in a row, that's a good sign that they'll be able to land humans safely. I think he said we have a lot of experience with propulsive landing of Falcon 9. So they think they know what they're doing, but landing it on Mars is going to be different. So my guess is that means there will be 3 uncrewed missions to Mars in 2024. I think 2022 is too soon. I don't think that they will be ready. He said, that's another big one. He said they expect to have 12 test launches in 2022.
Wow.
So it sounded like he didn't expect to launch commercial payloads until 2023. I suspect that there will be a Starlink launch before the end of 2022 and maybe more than one, because if you're going to launch a commercial payload, then SpaceX's own commercial payload would make the most sense.
Right.
But that was big.
Well, I love how he started. I thought of it, how he started the talk with a little baby X Ash A12. Am I saying that right?
That was adorable. I don't know what they call him for short.
Little baby Elon Jr.
I thought that was really sweet.
And of course there were technical difficulties. It was just everything virtual, every virtual scenario playing out there, but yeah.
So he also mentioned there was this question about how to preserve propellant in space, cryogenic propellant in space. And Elon talked about sending up a Starship that didn't have heat shielding because you're not planning on bringing it back to Earth, and using it as a propellant depot. I think I think there's this great concept of Starship is so big that you can do other things with it in space. You could make a Starship space station, right? You could launch a Starship that is not designed to come back to Earth and use it as a space station. It's so big. I think the usable volume of Starship is close to the volume of the International Space Station. So put 2 or 3 of them together, you've got a big orbital space station if you want. A lot of interesting concepts there, but the idea of replacing the heat shielding with insulation for the tanks to be able to make that a propellant depot I had thought the idea was that the Starship that's going to Mars would go up, then tankers would come up and directly refuel the Starship. And it sounds like his idea instead is that you launch a Starship as a propellant depot, and then the Starship that's going to be going to Mars connects to that propellant depot rather than connecting to the tankers that are coming up. That's a different approach than, I think that, if you look at their animation, that's not what their animation shows. So, they're clearly thinking ahead to, how to use Starship as a very capable platform for different missions.
So they need to redo their animation. Maybe.
No, they just need to do it. Then they won't need an animation.
And so he was also saying, they're thinking about 1,000 starships to become multiplanetary.
Well, no, 1,000 starships to, I think, have a sustainable colony on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
To get 1 million people to Mars, and along with all the stuff that they're going to need on Mars, to get to the point where, the goal is to get 1 million people to Mars, or to create a colony on Mars that will survive if the ships from Earth stop coming. Right. That will survive, not only survive, but grow. You're not a multiplanetary species if you have an outpost somewhere that dies if Earth dies. You're a multiplanetary species if you have multiple civilizations, essentially a new civilization growing on another rock. And I think his view is that the moon is not capable of supporting a colony that could grow because it doesn't have enough resources, where Mars has enough resources.
Interesting. Sorry, I'm reading some of the comments. Hello, everyone. Thanks for all the people popping on. We got some Canadians tonight. Hi,
Starlink user.
Yes, a Starlink user. Someone asking when they're going to get their Starlink. I wish I could answer that one for you. Yeah.
Well, what we know now is that they've come up with a new version, which most likely means they're capable of manufacturing them in higher volume at lower cost. So I think that means that Starlink is going to roll out to a much larger population sooner. But that's not what happened with the Starship announcement tonight. So we're going a little off topic there. But I think that the vision of having a scientific research station on the moon was, he's kind of talked about that, but he went a little more in depth to that. The ability to do bigger science on the moon and Mars, the ability to take large core samples rather than, we're sending small missions to the moon and Mars that are only capable of doing small things. If you able to land 100 tons to the Martian surface or the lunar surface, you're able to do a lot more. If you're able to have humans there in a permanent base or a permanent colony, then you're able to do a lot more in-depth research. So I think that's a vision thing that I think was really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta watch this thing again. It's like it's not all fresh in my head now. Just watched it, and we just talked about it in my clubhouse too.
Are we thinking we're gonna go back there in January? Are we gonna go stay at Rocket Ranch?
I'm gonna go whenever. Well, first of all, I'll go wherever you go because I'm flirty and you're fit. I'm working on the fit part, but if you tell me, Warren, I want you to meet me at such and such a place, I can assure you that I will meet you there. I've actually been thinking about going back to Starbase sooner.
Oh man, I've been thinking about that too.
Just making an excuse to go to Starbase in Austin. I already have an excuse to go to Austin because I want to buy some land, but I have been thinking about going back on a trip. I just haven't figured out when.
Right.
And I don't know that it's going to happen, but I, definitely when they do the orbital launch, I'm going to book a couple weeks plus to just, because I'm just a YouTuber, right? I have a flexible schedule. I can do whatever.
Just a YouTuber, Warren, you're a celebrity. You were recognized on Boca Chica Beach.
That's true, but that's because I was a YouTuber. No, I just mean I don't have a day job. You have a day job.
Right.
I don't have a day job, so I have the flexibility that I can go wherever and just start YouTubing from wherever I am.
Right.
I might have to buy a new laptop or something to make it work, but I can make it work. So.
Yeah, no, I definitely I have been thinking about ways to get back there sooner than later myself, especially for that flyover with Mauricio with RGB. That sounds like it will be very fun. So you guys can look forward to that. That will happen someday.
Yeah, I don't know why it is, but Ellie gets these offers and I don't. I think it's, she just has more natural friendliness. It's not because I can assure you it's not because she's better looking.
It's just the network effect, you know. Trying to see some of these comments here. Waiting patiently for Starlink. Yep. You know, I did notice that on the website, it no longer says beta. So pretty certain they're exited out of beta.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just talking about Starlink with somebody today. Sorry, I just heard a loud noise. Well, I was talking with Bradford Ferguson about Starlink. That's the video I'm editing tonight. That's going to be tomorrow. You know, just talking about the potential for Starlink is really amazing. And I actually, you know, what didn't come up in the today's event with Starship and Elon talking to that group was they didn't really talk about Starlink at all. And I think the potential for Starship to launch Starlink came up. He gets these questions all the time. It's like, he's already answered this question. This woman was raised this question about Starlink interfering with astronomy. And Elon's like, well, look, the telescope that's the most affected by it is blah, blah, blah. And I forget the name of it. He says, we're working with them and they've said we've solved the problem. You know, and then, you know, not that there's completely solved in some other little issues, but they're making progress. And he also talked about the fact that they're planning to do a large space-based telescope with, I forget the guy's name, Perlmutter at UCLA or something like that, that they're going to launch a large telescope into space. Like, you know, can you get over that we're not going to do things the way we did them before, but we might have a better way coming because of all the stuff that SpaceX is doing. Right. And, you know, people are so wedded to well, this is the way we do. A friend of mine says the highest law in the land is not what the Supreme Court says. The highest law in the land is this is the way we do things here. Right.
Well, look at, I mean, the shift with the ISS to, you know, going to private companies. And I mean, yeah, things are changing and a lot of those changes are better, I think. Someone says, is this live? Yes, Jason Fisher, I'll call you out. It's live.
Right Choose says, does anyone else experience a lot of packet loss with your Starlink internet? Starlink is still fairly new. And as they roll out more satellites, you will get less patchiness. You're going to have some patchiness right now because it's still, you know, there's only like, I think 1,800. How many satellites are there now? 1,800?
I think, yeah, at least 1,800. Yeah. Last check.
And the full, you know, first round of Starlink is going to be like 11,000 satellites. So you're not even close to a full rollout. So, you know, it's still rough. Maybe it's not, maybe they're not calling it beta anymore, but you shouldn't expect perfect internet with Starlink yet. But it's still way better than HughesNet. From what my cousin tells me.
Or Viasat, so I've heard. Yeah. It's an interesting question. Josh from Australia says, what do you think about the lack of a magnetic field on Mars? Without one, the colony will have to live underground. Has anyone thought about that? We were thinking about some, you know, potential problems with gestation and getting pregnant, right?
Right. So the lack of magnetic field, Elon has said that no, you don't need to live underground. I still think tunneling makes sense, but he said, you know, first of all, don't forget that more than half the time, Mars itself is blocking the radiation, right? You're on the surface of Mars, and any radiation coming from the other side of Mars is blocked by Mars. And he has said in the past that you build a structure and you put, you know, some amount of regolith, some amount of Martian material on the roof of whatever building you've built, and that will be enough to protect you from radiation. It doesn't have to be a lot, you know, a foot, maybe 2 feet, or maybe it was less than that, and that will largely protect you from radiation. So the radiation is less of an issue. I love the gestation question. There's this question that I have asked, and I haven't heard a lot of other people talking about this, is will mammals be able to conceive, fertilize an embryo, conceive, and carry an embryo to term with zero gravity without having significant consequences for the baby? And, you know, one of my thoughts was that you build a loop, a Boring Company tunnel loop that travels at the right speed to simulate 1G. And then if a woman gets pregnant or is trying to get pregnant, then she spends all day long in the loop, which sucks for, it's a pretty boring 9 months.
Can you imagine? I'm sorry. Like, I'm just imagining being that poor woman.
Well, you know, my guess would be that over time with animal experiments, they figure out this is the key moment in gestation where you really need to be at 1G, and maybe it's only like a couple of weeks, and that would be a lot better than 9 months or 10 months. I would say it may be, because when I first came up with this idea of these, I call them gravity loops, that you would actually spend most of your time in there anyway. That you would be in the gravity loop 16 hours a day and only go out to the Martian surface, 8 hours a day. And that way your body maintains its acclimation to Earth gravity. So when you go back to Earth, your body's ready for Earth. And at the same time, you basically have superhuman strength when you're on the Martian surface.
I bet people didn't expect that we would be talking about gestation.
Well, I mean, it's, if you want to build a colony, a self-sustaining colony on Mars, then women need to be able to have children.
Right. There's so many things to consider.
I mean, Elon thinks that's a big issue on Earth, right? We need to be able to have, we need to, it's on you, Ellie. It's on your shoulders.
The weight of the world.
On your shoulders, it's on your hips. You gotta deliver some babies. The pressure's on the women.
Some of these comments. Hopefully she doesn't get motion sickness. I actually do get car sick. But yeah, for people that are just hopping on, we're just kind of reflecting on, Elon Musk, some of the details that he just gave. And there were a lot of them. Warren is still overwhelmed by all of the new information, but, we're thinking January will be that first orbital launch that we've all been so eagerly waiting for.
Yeah, I think the other thing is on Twitter, it was today or yesterday, Elon tweeted that to be multiplanetary, we're going to need a new rocket engine, and it won't be called Raptor. So that suggests that SpaceX is already, I believe they're already building Raptor 2, which is a more advanced version of the Raptor that's on the booster and the Starship that you and I saw. But Raptor 2 is just sort of like an iterative improvement of the existing Raptor engine, and sort of cleaning up some details as well as making it a little bit more efficient. But it sounds like Elon feels that they need some kind of new engine that's going to be significantly different from Raptor, and it's not really clear what. My gut hunch from the thing that he said was the current problem was being able to produce enough of them.
Right.
So I think it may actually be like one of the primary goals is to make a more manufacturing friendly engine, right? It's a very complex engine to make, and if you can make the engine simpler, then it's easier to make more of them. And obviously you want them to be lighter weight, have more thrust, cost less. So there's something that I wish, that was my biggest frustration of the event, was no one in this event asked that question. You mentioned on Twitter today, you think you need a new rocket engine. Sounds like you have something in mind. Can you tell us more about that? And that would have been a great question that no one asked. And like, do these people know he's on Twitter a lot? Like, do they not check that before the event? Because I look at his Twitter like 3 or 4 times a day.
Maybe you need to tweet him about it. Has he ever responded to you on Twitter?
7 times.
7 times.
But I haven't counted.
Okay. What?
I'm counting the time when he replied to someone who replied to me. So I tweeted something and someone replied and he replied to the reply. So does that count as a reply? I'm not sure, but I'm calling it 7. If it's not that, it's 6.
It counts. It counts. You started that. So yeah, you need to tweet them. Ask the questions that they missed out on.
I think a lot of people asked him what he meant and he didn't answer it, but I think that moment would have been a great moment. This is one of my frustrations whenever somebody interviews Elon, is 90% of the questions are stuff we already know the answer to. And see, when Tim Dodd talks to him, right, Everyday Astronaut interviews him, we get a whole lot of gold.
Yeah.
Because Tim Dodd doesn't bother asking him stuff he already knows. He asks him stuff we don't know.
Right.
So that's why was it a 3-parter with Tim Dodd at Starbase? That was mind-blowing how much information we got out of that.
Yeah.
I'm still, Ellie and I were at Starbase, and Tim Dodd had this line about we need to innovate, Elon said this line, we need to innovate with extreme urgency, which I sell a t-shirt that says that, by the way, on elonbits.com. But when you and I were at Starbase, we saw that.
Oh yeah.
We saw that the contractors were working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Those aren't even SpaceX employees.
Right.
Working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and their that guy we talked to, he was like really impressed with Elon. Elon he's a role model. This is what we need to do to get there. And the people at Starbase follow Elon's model. And then the SpaceX employees, they're working like, I don't know, 16 hours a day, 17, 18 hours a day. And he establishes this mission with SpaceX. It's, let's build a self-sustaining colony on Mars. This like out there mission, but it's like attainable. It's really, really hard. It's really, really challenging, but we can get there. Reusable rocket, whatever. And then with Tesla, accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. Make an amazing electric car. The batteries so he sets these missions that are challenging but attainable. He works his ass off towards the missions, and it sets an example for everyone else, and the team works really hard. And so you see that innovate with extreme urgency, that they're working with extreme urgency at Starbase. You and I saw that. You didn't see Giga Texas. I was at Giga Texas Sunday at 8:00 at night, and they're still going. We saw that at Starbase. Starbase never stops.
No.
It just keeps going.
And even when we were there, like, nothing crazy happened, but there were changes every single day that we witnessed. When the sun was up the next day, wow, that's in a different place. And, No, you don't see this as much, but I get in arguments with people on Twitter all the time and on my YouTube comments about Lucid Motors, which is arguably a Tesla wannabe. And they say, oh, Lucid Motors is in the same place as Tesla's. Like, no, you guys aren't innovating with extreme urgency. I went to the Lucid Motors factory. There was a few cars there. There's a few people working. When people do videos on a Sunday, there's nothing happening at the Lucid factory. When you go to the Tesla Gigafactory in Austin, Texas on a Sunday, stuff is happening. Right.
One company is innovating with extreme urgency, and one company is like, well, all right, Sunday, everybody go home. Which is crazy, but if you want to achieve what Elon wants to achieve, then you've got to do that. The idea that it's just going to get handed to you if you show up to work 9 to 5, that's not going to cut it.
Well, we even witnessed when we were at Starbase, some employees from California that were maybe thinking about moving to Starbase, but they knew what a sacrifice they would have to make, less time with their families, and they were very much on the fence, if not completely disinterested, even though it's quite the opportunity. So you really have to have passion for the mission to be there.
Yeah, and for people who don't get that, if SpaceX is in Hawthorne, California, which is, my brother lives in Hawthorne. It's right by Los Angeles International Airport. It's an hour from Disneyland. The beach is not far away. There's a lot to do when you're at Hawthorne. When you're at Starbase, first of all, Starbase itself is like an hour from everything. Maybe a half hour, 45 minutes from everything. It's basically on its own. There's a beach, right? But there's no public toilets. I mean, there's no restaurants. Starbase has its own facilities for the staff, but you're pretty much stuck there. And if you want to go do something, you got to drive more than a half hour to get to anything in Brownsville.
Right.
And Brownsville is not, it's not a destination like Los Angeles. I mean, people do go to South Padre Island for a vacation, but there's a limit to how much you can do in Brownsville. So if you bring your family to Brownsville, it's less of an exciting life than being in Austin, Texas, or being in Hawthorne, Los Angeles, California, or being in New York City. So it is, or Canaveral even is an hour from Orlando and Disney World there and Universal Studios. So there's a lot to do at a lot of their locations, and Starbase is kind of like, you really got to be mission focused. You really got to be committed to that mission, because you're basically committing your life to this, and you're working and you're sleeping.
Right.
And every once in a while, a beautiful woman like Ellie comes by and you flirt with her.
You invite her to dinner, because that was pretty cool.
Yes. I got to have dinner with you more than he did. So.
You're making me blush over here. I had another question. Oh yeah, we were going to talk about the Tesla, is it pronounced Pi phone?
Oh yes.
Do you want to just talk about it here anyway, since I'm...
Sure. So if you want me to just go into it, there is an ongoing rumor that Tesla is going to do a phone. And I'm sorry, I think it's a dumb rumor. I think it's a rumor that comes from people who don't understand how Elon thinks and how Elon works. If you read, there's a blogger named Tim Urban who has a blog called Wait But Why, and he did like he's done a huge bunch of blogging about Elon, about artificial intelligence and so on. And I believe he's correct when he says this, that Elon wants to enter an industry when that industry is stagnant, has stopped innovating, and there's an opportunity to do a 10x improvement over what the current industry is doing.
Mhm.
So you see it with EVs, that Tesla cars are, I mean, I drive a Tesla Model 3, and you've certainly been in Tesla Model 3s quite a bit. Teslas are just so much better than regular cars. It's now that I drive one on a regular basis, and every once in a while I have to drive an internal combustion engine car, I'm like, oh my God, this thing's awful. They're so much better in so many different ways. The rockets, the improvement from previous rockets to Falcon 9 was easily a 10x in terms of cost of getting a payload to orbit. And the improvement from Falcon 9 to Starship is going to be more than 10x. So being able to make that monster improvement in technology, Boring Company is tunneling for way less than 1/10 the cost of previous tunneling operations. And Neuralink is sort of like a whole quantum leap into something completely different. So iPhones and Android phones are pretty darn good. And it's not like they've stopped innovating. That is a fairly new industry where innovation is happening at very, very high speed. I don't think Elon sees an opportunity for a 10x in phones. And it's also not like, what's the mission in coming up with a phone that isn't already being accomplished? You know, he uses an iPhone. You can see on Twitter, he's using Twitter for iPhone.
Well, isn't the rumor that this phone will connect to Starlink and also eventually Neuralink? I mean, it's so like, where did this even come from?
Okay, so first of all, existing phones connect to Neuralink. Neuralink has Bluetooth, existing phones already connect to Neuralink. And you've seen the Starlink antenna. I'll ask you the question because you're more of a Starlink expert than I am. Why is the antenna so big on the Starlink antenna? Because it's bigger than a phone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's because the radio waves that Starlink uses require an antenna that large to work. If you had, you know, the Starlink antenna is probably 3 or 4 times the size of this, if not 5 or 6 times the size of this phone.
Oh yeah. Easily.
It needs a phased array antenna that's roughly the size of a pizza box. So if you want your phone to be the size of a pizza box, or you want to carry a pizza box size antenna around with your phone, okay, but that's not practical for a phone. There are phones that work with satellites, but those satellites use a different wavelength. And it's just a physics thing. It doesn't, and of course, Tesla and SpaceX are 2 different companies. So, and the use case, right? The vast majority of time that I use my phone, I have a good cell phone signal, or I have a reasonably good cell phone signal. And I can use it indoors. Like, are you going to you're going to get satellite signal on your, do you ever put your Starlink antenna inside your home?
Oh, I don't even use mine.
I'm just saying, if somebody had a Starlink, you'd put it outside.
Right.
So,
oh yeah, you need.
So your Starlink phone would only work when you're outside. I mean, it's like a very, very limiting concept for a phone. So I understand that this idea caught on and people think it's fun, but it just defies everything about Elon. It's not something that leads to a 10x improvement over existing technology. And the idea that you're going to connect to Starlink on a phone ignores the physics of Starlink.
You know, I bring it up just because I had a lot of people comment saying to make a video about it, and I was looking it up and there were no like actual, you know, credible articles about this. So it's like, where did this even originate?
It doesn't make sense. It's not real. It just like I'm a big believer in I'm an acolyte in the religion of Elon. I'm a bishop of Muscanity. If you go with the Pope of Muscanity, I'm a bishop. I study Elon. I follow Elon. Literally read his Twitter like 3-4 times a day. I watch everything he says. I watched this conference today with him speaking, and I will watch it again 2 or 3 times by the end of the week, if not more. And I will dissect it and make a video about it. So I study Elon in depth, and I've been reading about Elon for years. Seriously, if you haven't read it, Wait But Why. I think it's waitbutwhy.com. WAITBUTWHY. He has some spectacular blog posts. He did this like 3-parter about Elon. He did this thing about artificial general intelligence. He did one about cryonics. Some brilliant, brilliant writing. really long form blogs. We're not talking about like you read that in 5 minutes. It's like it's an hour to read it.
Right.
Right. And he's got like 3 in a row about Elon that are each like half an hour to read. But it's like really in depth. And the idea that Elon's going to pursue something where, you know, Apple and Android are innovating like crazy. Samsung and LG, they're all innovating like crazy on this already. So I don't think there's the 10x opportunity to come up with a new phone, right? There's and you know, think about Elon's time. Like, is this getting us to another planet? What game changer is this for humanity to come up with a new phone that can connect with Starlink? It's not a game changer.
Yeah.
Where getting Starship to be reusable and be able to carry large payloads to the moon and Mars is a game changer. Getting Tesla to, you know, be able to have the range, you know, getting the 4680 cells and battery production and structural pack, and the full self-driving, you know, the AI that they're working on that enables robotaxi and Tesla bot. Those are such bigger missions than a phone. That, you know, this is, and, you know, like Elon wants to pursue electric vertical takeoff and landing jet, right? eVTOL, but he doesn't have time for that. You really think that a phone would rank higher than eVTOL for Elon?
Well, Jade Finch scene says, thanks, Warren, for confirming what I've been saying for months. So,
well, I mean, I can't confirm it because I'm just, you know, crazy Warren who thinks he understands Elon, or understands Elon a little better than the average idiot, but it just doesn't fit with everything I know about Elon. That's the issue.
Right.
And you know, Mitridate says we want a phone that doesn't spy on us. I believe there are phones. If you check Edward Snowden, I think, has a phone recommendation for people who don't want their phones to spy on them. I forget what it's called, but I just sort of accepted that my phone spies on me. My car spies on me. So what difference does it make? If I go through toll, I got a thing on my car to go through tolls.
I think you can still spy on me. I think you still have a shared location. So I'm just being spied on all over.
I don't watch that.
Man.
For those who don't get that, we shared location when we were at Starbase. And for some reason, Ellie hasn't turned it off. I think she wants somebody to be able to find the body if something happens to her. Where I believe I turned off sharing. I don't remember that you actually did. Is it still shared? I don't even remember that.
You know, you just never know. You never know when you might need a YouTuber or a lawyer in your life.
I'm just checking now. Did you still share location with me?
Let's see.
I don't know if I still have that.
I didn't turn it off.
I don't know.
But someone asked if you're going to stay. Well, actually, someone way earlier in the chat said that you should just go live at Rocket Ranch, Warren. So maybe you
I'm moving to Salt Lake City to be near you. I don't think people live at Rocket Ranch.
Yeah, no.
I don't think you live at Rocket Ranch. No, if I were moving, I would move to Austin. Well, I have a few places I'm thinking about moving to, and Austin is on the list of potential. Canaveral is another place I'd like to live near. I actually think that there's a decent chance that Canaveral will do more launches than Starbase. If Elon has said before, like I said before about Brownsville, that Brownsville is not necessarily a place you want to live because there's not enough infrastructure to support a large community. Canaveral is an hour from Orlando, which is a large city, and it's a couple hours from West Palm Beach and Jupiter. So and then Jacksonville's not that far either. So Canaveral's in a really good location. You could live a half hour away, then you're not very far from Orlando at all. And you know, University of Central Florida, so you got a university right there. And
right.
I think there's a really decent chance that Canaveral will be as much of a Starbase launch point as Brownsville, as Starbase.
Right.
So, and then, you know, obviously I want to be in Salt Lake City to be near Ellie, except you got that darn thing called winter up there. How's winter going?
You know, it's unusually warm this week. It has been really nice, but it's, you know, it's going to get colder at some point, but it's been fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder what the temperature is right now in Boca Chica. It's got to be what? You know,
I watched the Crew 4 launch. It was, you know, I can drive to see the Crew 4 launch. I can watch launches I can actually see launches from Canaveral from here.
Wow.
Well, in the backyard of the house that I no longer live in, but but I can drive 2.5 hours and watch launches. I drove up to Titusville and watched a launch from across the street from a Cuban restaurant called El Leoncito. There's so many different places. That's why, you made a video about Starbase, or a couple of videos about Starbase. I made a recent video about Starbase talking, I call it How to Starbase. And at Canaveral is well-known good locations to watch launches from. You and I both saw that they've only done a few launches from Starbase. So it really isn't as obvious where to go to watch launches from. And Rocket Ranch is a great spot to watch launches from if you stay there and you participate in their activities and you go to their launch viewing site. The southern tip of South Padre Island has a lot of viewing areas. It was at Pier 19, I think, had a good view.
Pier 19, yeah.
Pretty much anywhere, because it's all flat, pretty much anywhere you get a pretty good view of a launch once it gets off the ground. And you're closer to the southern tip of South Padre, or Rocket Ranch in particular, you're closer to the launch than you are at Canaveral, because Canaveral is sort of set off. You haven't been to Canaveral, right?
No. Actually, wait, I take that back. No, I've been to the Kennedy Space Center.
Okay, well, that is basically Canaveral, but you didn't see a launch there.
I was 8, so fair warning.
Okay, so it was a couple of years ago. So I'll extend the formal invitation to you. You're welcome to stay here. I do have I do have a space for you that is not my bed, just to be clear. Both options are open, but I would be happy to take you up and show you around Canaveral.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm not the only one who would make that offer to you.
I still haven't even seen a launch, which is almost embarrassing. It's funny, I was talking to Marcus House the other week, and he's like, I haven't even been to Boca Chica, so that's almost embarrassing for him. But with COVID, obviously, coming here is hard. But
is he in England?
He's in Australia. He's in Tasmania.
Oh,
yes.
He probably can't even leave the country.
No, but nicest guy. My gosh,
love that guy.
And I want to say thank you to Johnny Spacer. Johnny is thinking of buying condos near Starbase and making Airbnbs. I like that idea. What do you think?
I think that's probably a good idea. I don't know condos. We stayed in a condo at South Padre Island. I don't know what the pricing is like for condos at South Padre Island.
Well, he also says in another near KSC, so you would know those prices more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think pricing, it depends how close you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's very expensive, because I live in southern Florida, further south, where there's a higher population density. I think the housing prices are higher here than they are there. I don't know the business model, how much you'd be able to get for your Airbnb. I don't know how much demand there is for an Airbnb. It's not like there's a launch every week.
Right.
So I don't know how much demand there is for, and then, you can see launches from 200. I've literally watched a launch from Jupiter, which is more than 100 miles away. So wow. I watched it from my backyard, which is, 150 miles away. So you can see, so people in Orlando watch them from, 50 miles away, and and there's so many different places you can go. So you don't really need an Airbnb, close to Kennedy Space Center to watch a launch. You just stay in Orlando, which has lots of, opportunities to stay anywhere in South Florida, really, and just drive up for the launch.
Right.
I don't know if that's a good business model for Starbase. Again, it's sort of like, how frequent will launches be? And then once the launches are that frequent, then, how much demand is there for that? Austin, Texas, which doesn't have launch views, that's got a really booming economy. I think that's, it's not cheap to buy anything in Austin now, but that's got a lot of promise.
So you think if you're trying to start an Airbnb, shoot for Austin?
I'm just I'm not a professional investment advisor. I'm not a real estate investor. I don't know.
Well,
I don't feel comfortable answering that question. And thanks to Safe Moon James just gave you a big chunk. Thanks for that.
I was gonna say, it looks like I'm coming to Florida.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to Safe Moon James. I have to go to Florida now. I really do. I would love to go there. So it's time. I haven't been since I was, like I said, about 8. Maybe I went on a Disney cruise, and I think I might have been like 11.
I'm telling you, I got a nice comfortable futon couch right over here for you.
All right, I can sleep on the floor.
Or you can sleep in the back of the Model 3 if you prefer. We put it in camp mode.
I would like that, actually. I want to make a video. Do you have a mattress? Did you get
I just bought a mat, a 1-inch thick yoga mat, and then a quilt that I can fold over. So you have a
Okay.
nice, comfortable, I'm actually planning on trying it myself.
I was gonna say, can I be your guinea pig, or have you already done it?
I have not tried yet, but you know,
Okay.
others have done it. What people say is you should have an air mattress, and I don't like the concept of the air mattress. I think an inch thick yoga mat with some quilt over it would probably be
Right.
enough, but I'm gonna
Right.
try that soon.
Well, when I was driving my ex's Model 3, we got one of those like custom
Yeah,
mattresses, but I never got to try it. So,
I think when I drive up to Salt Lake City to visit you, then I will sleep in the car on the way up.
oh, you're driving. That's very ambitious of you.
I'm not doing that.
I'm like, there's no way. Someone asked, let's see, a long time ago here in the comments, someone asked, what Snake 2.0, what are you doing for Thanksgiving, Ellie? I'm going to Portland to be with my family, which I'm very, very, very grateful to be able to go home for a few days. What are you doing, Warren?
I have right now, my plan is I have a friend in the Tampa area who's invited me up for Thanksgiving. And I actually just got invited today by a friend who lives much closer, but I've been planning on the Tampa thing for a while, and my mother is on the way. For those who don't know, my mother's in an assisted living facility, doesn't really know who I am anymore, but at least recognizes my face. So I'm probably going to visit my mom and go hang out with my friend, sleep at his place that night. And then I have an old friend who lives on the way back. So I was planning on having lunch with her on the way back. And, you know, somebody I've known since elementary school. So, you know, make a trip out of it, and it's an excuse to drive FSD beta around the state.
Yeah, I mean, how's that been going? You were saying you love it and you don't want to go back.
Oh yeah, no, I love the electric vehicle experience, and I will say, like, every once in a while when you drive FSD, Tesla FSD or FSD beta, something will happen and it'll say it's unavailable, and you're like, wait, I have to steer? What do you mean I have to drive the car myself? Like, all of a sudden it's like a little bit of withdrawal. So now there are definitely times when I drive the car. If I'm in a hurry, I drive myself.
Right.
Because FSD beta just doesn't drive as fast. It's not that it can't drive fast. You can make it go fast, but it's not going to cut through traffic the way I'm going to cut through traffic.
Right.
Like if you see, you know, you're driving down the road and you see an opening, I can get around these cars. And one of the really nice things about a Tesla is when you hit the accelerator, it gets there faster than you thought was possible.
Oh, it's insane.
I have like a 2018 single motor Model 3 rear wheel drive. It's not the fastest. It's one of the slowest Teslas ever made. But it's still like incredibly fast. So the ability to just sort of get there is really cool. Yeah, self-driving is amazing. It's still not perfect. It still makes a lot of mistakes. I did take the friend who recently invited me for Thanksgiving locally. I just took him for a drive in FSD beta, and he was wowed. And it actually had like, I don't have perfect drives a lot. And it was an absolutely perfect drive. It didn't make a mistake the entire drive. We drove for, I don't know, 15 minutes or something like that, 20 minutes, and it was perfect, which is within the realm of, like, there's certain things it can't do. Like, it's not good at gates yet. I live in a gated community. It's not too good at the gates yet. It's good at the gate on the way out, but it's not good on the gate on the way in. So, but you know, it's makes lane changes, it makes turns, it spots pedestrians. I actually think I almost hit a pedestrian today when I was driving that it would have seen this morning. Yeah.
Wow.
It came out of nowhere. Actually, I got to go check the video. I saved the video. I got to go check that. Like, where the hell did that kid come from?
Oh my gosh.
Huh? A couple times now, it has observed a pedestrian that I didn't see.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hockey Day says bots will be used on Mars and Moon. I'm assuming he's talking about Tesla bots.
I would say 100% that.
Yeah.
Tesla bot prototype next year, or did he say 2023? I think 2023. So I would say we're not going to see Tesla bot in significant production until 2025 or 2026. So if there's a significant, and then of course Tesla bot has to be trained to do tasks. It's not clear how you train Tesla bot to do tasks on Mars when we haven't been on Mars yet. So I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of potential for Tesla bot to do things on Mars or the Moon that you know, humans can do, but it's a lot safer to have bot do them. I definitely think so. And not only that, but let's say you could send 100 humans to Mars on Starship. You could probably send 1,000 bots.
Right. Well,
Right.
and weren't we kind of talking about before, like who's going to build this colony? I mean, likely the bots, right?
I would think bots will play a role in it, but that was another question they should have asked. I was disappointed they didn't ask that question today. What would you say? No, like an Elon junkie would have asked that question. I just made a video about Tesla bot. I'm going to be making a series of videos about Tesla bot.
Well, someone was saying earlier in this chat that, this talk was really geared for scientists. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that why they're not asking these?
There was a really good question about why they went to stainless steel. That was, I would think, the most technical, scientific, engineering type question and answer that we had. And it's stuff that we already knew the answer to, but Elon gave it more depth than we had before. Why did you choose stainless steel? I mean, obviously one of the big factors is the cost, but his depth on steel's ability to handle extremely cold and extremely hot temperatures was compelling. The weight savings of having to use less heat shielding, the weight savings of not having to insulate your fuel tank. There was a lot of little details that he got into there, and the ease of welding, and there's so many different advantages. It's 1 ply instead of 1,200 ply. Was it 120 ply? I forget the carbon fiber. There were so many advantages to it. So there was a lot of depth in that question. It wasn't something new. We already knew the reasons, but I don't think we've ever had that strong an explanation of why they went to stainless steel. So that was probably the best science-oriented question that we had, or engineering question that we had. I mean, there's other questions about, there was a great question about what does he see as the science opportunity on Mars and the Moon, and he went into this idea of taking big core samples and having scientists there. Oh, Tim Dodd went live, apparently. We're going to lose our audience. We're going to lose our audience now. Yeah.
Oh, no. I will say I've had a couple people ask me to interview Tim Dodd. I have sent him 3 emails. If you guys would like to help me petition, send him your requests. I love interviewing, Scott Manley, and Marcus House was phenomenal. I did a video with him and kind of some of our big name favorite YouTubers about, I mean, we know how Tim Dodd got started, but it'd be nice to talk to him kind of off the cuff. So if you're interested in me interviewing Tim Dodd, please help me make it happen.
Let Tim Dodd know. Ellie wants to talk to him.
Yes, it added to the list of people that I've tried to reach out to, Gwen Shotwell. However, her assistant did answer me and was like, oh, she's interested but busy. So
Gwen Shotwell would be big.
Yeah. Oh,
I am a monster Gwen Shotwell fan. I think that Gwen Shotwell, if we're looking for role models for young women, I don't know that we could do better than Gwen Shotwell.
Right.
I've sent Gwen Shotwell videos to both my daughters. I don't think either one of them has watched any of the Gwen Shotwell videos. I sent them, but I've sent them. Yeah.
Oh, apparently Felix now lives in Florida. I did not know that. I had been trying to link up with Felix for an interview, and that was it's not working. Felix Schlang with What About It? I think he's German. I think.
No idea.
Elon is at the top of Ellie's list. Safe Moon James is right.
And Elon's at the top of everybody's list.
Right.
I don't want to talk to Elon. Come on.
I feel like we were this close, that final night at Starbase. He was there.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, he wasn't, I didn't see him, but I knew he was around somewhere. So maybe next time.
I think the guy might work a lot. I don't think he likes putting a lot of time in interviews. He only does that rarely.
Right.
And he only does it with people who have a much bigger audience than you and I have.
Well, we will get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
I believe in you.
Art says, I'm in love with Gwen. Aren't we all?
Yeah. No, I just think that if you follow Gwen Shotwell's story, how she got into engineering in the first place, and if you read Lift Off, I read Lift Off, you talked to Eric Berger, I think that her role in making SpaceX what it is today, she's critical. She's a critical part of the SpaceX team. There's a strong tendency towards looking down on women in our society in a lot of different ways. And Gwynne Shotwell could not be a better role model for women can be strong, women can be powerful, women can be, make a huge difference in making something successful.
Right.
And I love that. Yeah.
Oh, I know that all too well.
Yeah.
Someone, let's see.
You should interview Bernie Sanders. What would that interview be like?
Okay, it's funny because I actually did meet Bernie Sanders when I was covering a story when I was working in South Dakota. He was on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation for a rally, and I actually took a selfie with him. So
did he raise your taxes?
I kind of got him to smile a little bit. That was all I got.
Did he complain about billionaires?
He did not really talk to me directly, so no. But yes, he did. I believe he complained. Yeah, at the rally.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I have another channel besides my YouTube channel. I have a channel on the Locals platform which I call the Daily Lie. It's warrenredlick.locals.com, and I just did a rant about Bernie Sanders versus Elon Musk because Bernie keeps attacking Elon, and Elon fired back, and I am not a fan of Bernie Sanders, to be blunt. I think that I don't know if you want, maybe we don't want to get into politics on this conversation, but.
You were saying that you were having some problems with your live streaming. YouTube is like, what, censoring you or?
They're demonetizing me. I'll do a live stream, and then when the live stream is over, I check my channel and I can see a little yellow $sign, meaning that the monetization is limited. Which normally happens when there's something that's inappropriate in the video, either controversial or sexual content or something like that, that a lot of advertisers want to avoid. And the thing is, I do videos about Tesla and SpaceX and Boring Company and Neuralink. I don't do videos. My YouTube videos, my live streams are completely, this isn't a problem with my edited videos. It's only my live streams. And, and they don't tell you, like, if you ever use like a music clip in your video, you'll get a message that your video has been demonetized because you used this particular clip and it's at this time code in your video. And then you get the option to like mute that part of the video or replace it with different music to restore your monetization. But when you get demonetized for this community standards nonsense, they don't even tell you what time code in your video was the problem.
Weird.
They don't tell you what time code, they don't tell you what the issue was. And there's a process to request review, and I always request review, and I always win. Right?
Well, we're going off topic a little bit, yes. But there's also this talk about taking away the dislike button or hiding it. And I almost think that, as content creators, I mean, it sucks to see when a video is disliked, but I think that
you got an 80-to-1 thumbs up to thumbs down ratio. Who cares about the 2 dislikes? They're just idiots.
Well, what do you think about hiding it? Do you think that that's?
I think that this only came up recently because a certain political figure started getting a lot of unlikes. There were a lot of dislikes for a certain political figure who shall not be named, but its name rhymes with Brandon. All of a sudden people got sensitive to the like to dislike ratio. You and I, you've got like an 80-to-1 like to thumbs up to thumbs down ratio. That's typically, something like that on my videos. There's a certain group of people in politics who are terrified that somebody's going to say something bad about them. And the idea, I don't see what the harm is in the dislike button. I don't see what it is. This is like participation trophies. Right? You either believe that my kids played soccer, right? A little bit of soccer, and they didn't keep score. There was no official score kept. The kids all knew what the score was. The kids know exactly how many goals were scored. Each kid knows how many goals they scored, if they scored any. They know who scored the most goals. You cannot keep score. This idea that we're not keeping score is just silly. But that's, I don't know how deep you want. You can get me going like for hours on that kind of stuff. Yeah,
maybe let's go back to our focus here, Starship and just exciting news for, the coming months.
Yeah, I am very excited about that. I think we should just stress this point that before SpaceX, it cost about $10,000 to launch a kilogram to orbit, to low Earth orbit. With Falcon 9, I believe they've got the cost down around $1,000 a kilogram. SpaceX's own cost to launch its own payloads to orbit, it's probably down around $1,000 a kilogram. When you go to Starship, you're going to be getting down to around $20 a kilogram, and you're going to be getting to the point. This is how big this is. I want to put this in a context that people might understand. If you wanted to send a package from New York to London, it would probably cost you more than $20 for a kilogram. So it's going to cost less for SpaceX to launch a kilogram into low Earth orbit than what it costs you or me to send a kilogram from the United States to London. I mean, it's just a radical reduction in the cost. And then there's like, why does that matter? What matters is now you want to do a mission to the moon, and instead of it costing $100 billion, maybe it costs $100 million.
Right.
Right. The ability to launch payloads to the moon, to land material on the moon, to land people on the moon, to launch payloads to Mars, to launch large payloads to low Earth orbit or orbit to get, this large telescope he's talking about doing to orbit, the ability to do bigger things in space becomes a lot more viable. And there's this, I don't know if you saw the movie Field of Dreams. There's this line in Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. That, these ghostly figures are saying, build the field and they will come. And I think there's this question, if you lower the cost of getting payloads to low Earth orbit, will the business materialize? Is there a demand for launching a lot of payloads into orbit, for, doing big things in space? And it's really hard to know when you go from $10,000 a kilogram to $1,000 a kilogram. You got some idea that maybe we're doing more launches now, but when you drop it to $20 a kilogram, how much more demand is there?
Right.
That, how much will people want to put in orbit? What kind of payloads will they launch to orbit? What new things will be done? And it's hard to really wrap your head around what the potential is for that. Is there a launch going on right now? Somebody said second engine start. Miko confirmed. Is there a Falcon 9 launch or something?
Rocket Lab just launched.
Oh, Rocket Lab is doing a launch. Okay.
Looks nominal.
Cool.
Woo-hoo. Someone also is watching us from Finland, and it's 3:41 in the morning there.
Yeah.
Build a Disneyland in space. There's a Disneyland at Starbase.
Kat Paterno talks about SpaceX, space-themed amusement park type stuff. What's stopping private companies from making space hotels? So DJ Deckard Kane says, what will there be laws against this? Well, there's no government in orbit. There's no real government in orbit. I don't know what government there would be. I mean, there might be government controlling who can launch, but I'm not too worried about that. The cost per kilo is getting less for outer space than cocaine. Yep, I would say the cost for getting a kilogram to orbit is already less than the cost of cocaine. I'm not interested in cocaine, but
I love the idea of a Disneyland in space.
Yeah, I think that there's the idea of space tourism. So like, if you ask me, Warren, do you want to go to Mars? Not right now. I don't know that I will ever go to Mars, because people don't appreciate how long the trip will last. It's 6 months to get there. It's 18 months before you can start coming back, and another 6 months to come back. So you're basically gone for 30 months. Crazy. And I'm going to guess that you like talking to your mother once in a while.
I do.
Right. Yeah. And I have 2 kids that I like to talk to. And I might even want to talk to you once in a while. And to me, I hate to say this to you, but you wouldn't be the first person that I would miss. But so that you would have some communication, but the lag.
Oh yeah.
The speed of light between Earth and Mars. I think the shortest lag would be like 12 minutes, and sometimes it would be longer. And then for a brief period, they're on opposite sides of the sun. There'd be no communication at all. So you're really removing yourself from everyone you've ever known when you go to Mars.
It's got to be so overwhelming once you make that commitment.
But compare that to the Inspiration 4 mission where they went into space for a few days, or the Dear Moon mission that's proposed where you basically spend a week going around the moon and back. Those, you and I both would be like, oh, a week and I get to go to the moon? Oh, hell yeah. I'm ready. I already signed up for the Dear Moon mission. I don't know if I'm going to I'm sure I'm not going to get it, but no, but those trips, it's just that the physics of going to Mars, because the planets are only close to each other every 26 months roughly, it's such a long journey that it's going to take really dedicated people who either don't have close family or are able to put up with having really limited communication with their family for a very long time. That's a huge challenge, and I'm not willing to do that. And the other side of it is, I think you're in the same boat as me. We're not that useful, right? I can't speak to you. I mean, you're sort of, if they need to climb something, you're good at that. But you know what? Did you see the Elon's appearance on Saturday Night Live? And they had this one thing that the Chad had to do where he basically was going to die as part of the mission.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Chad. Like when somebody has to do something that you're going to die doing it, if there's like an air leak, they're like, well, stick the lawyer in it.
Right.
I'm a lawyer and a YouTuber. I'm not useful on Mars. There are people who have really good engineering skills, really good mechanical skills. Those people are useful on Mars. I'm not going to be useful on Mars. So at least you're enjoyable to look at, right? You got that going for you. And like I said, you can climb.
And
you probably have some other useful skills. I don't have a lot of useful skills.
Hold the Olympics on Mars. Well, that just sounds like a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
At present time. Yeah, I mean, we were talking to, a SpaceX employee who is fairly certain he wants to go there,
Yeah.
And I just think that just even trying to imagine, like, okay, let's say I've made that life decision, as exciting as it might sound, it's got to be, terrifying.
I would say if you don't enjoy life on Earth that much, right? Like maybe some people aren't that happy with their life on Earth, then the prospect of doing something really big like that is really promising. That's the other challenge, is like when you're trying to choose people, you're looking for a certain psychological profile, and the person who isn't happy on Earth probably isn't really going to be happy on the trip to Mars either.
Right.
You need to find people who are really emotionally stable. And that's going to be, actually, I mentioned Kat Paterno before. I think she's really good at that concept as well. Is like, how do you identify who's really good for this mission? And, we've never done a mission like that before. You got nuclear submarines and they go down for a few months, right? You've got people who've gone up to the International Space Station for, what was his name? Mark Kelly went for a year. I think they have a pretty good idea, but for the early missions, you're going to need to find people who are really, really brave, frankly, and really, really self-sacrificing.
Right.
And I'm not that self-sacrificing.
But we can watch the development and get excited about that.
Yeah, no, I think that we can cheer it on, we can promote it, we can talk about it. I'm very excited about the prospect, and I would say, take me out another. That's the problem for me, because I'm older than you by a little bit. Right now I'm 55. How useful am I now? Well, if it's 20 years from now that I'm 75, I don't know that I'm going to be that useful on Mars, right? At any age. I really think it's like, who's going to be useful? Who's going to be like? I actually think I have the emotional stability. I'm a big believer in myself in that sense, that I'm the kind of person who could handle that long trip psychologically. But then you need somebody with all of that. You need physical skills and technical skills, and there's a lot of stuff that has to go into that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people. I'm sure there are people in the NASA astronaut program who are like, I'm in. They're all in. They want to do that. Yeah.
It'll be exciting.
Oh, inmates. We need inmates because they've got experience being people who are used to solitary confinement. Yeah, they're perfect for that.
Oh man.
So were there other tidbits from the Elon's presentation today that you thought really stood out, or that you had questions about that maybe I can?
Let me pull it up because I was kind of just catching the last bit of it as I was ending my work day.
Poor Ellie has a day job.
Poor me.
She's good
I
at
do,
it. So.
I do love what I do, but.
Oh, Mitrade just nailed me. He says you must be able to do 6 pull-ups to go to Mars. I'm hosed. I've been working out though. I've been working out.
Okay.
I got to get ready for fit and flirty.
Yeah, people are wondering what that is. Elon said that Starship is at least 90% internally funded thus far.
Right. So SpaceX is developing Starship for SpaceX's own use.
Right.
For its customers. They are receiving some money from NASA because it's going to be used for NASA missions. But
$2.9 billion contract, but yeah, he's not assuming any international collaboration or external funding for the rocket program.
Right. So this is one of the big things, like Starlink, you and I both understand the revenue potential for Starlink. That Starlink, has potentially, I was actually just talking with Bradford about this, the revenue potential for Starlink, 100 million customers paying $1,000 a year, that's $100 billion a year revenue, and it might be 300 million customers for Starlink. So there's a huge amount of revenue. So the Starlink side of SpaceX is a very clear business model that makes a lot of sense. The launch side of SpaceX seems like a good business plan, but it's not clear how much demand there is for launch services. You and I both think that there will be a lot of customers for launch when SpaceX lowers the cost of launch, but we don't know that. Then the third thing is the Mars mission. What's the business model for the Mars mission? And I have my own theory about that, which is that Elon is the customer. That you want to build a 1 million person colony on Mars that is self-sustaining and growing, then somebody has to fund that. And getting 1 million people to Mars is going to cost about $200 billion once they have Starship up and running at reasonable cost. And then getting their stuff there might be another 800 billion. So you spend $1 trillion. Well, who can fund $1 trillion for building a colony on Mars? Well, Elon. Elon's going to write that he's the customer. Elon is the customer for the Mars mission. That's my theory. That, as Tesla grows to be a $10 trillion company and Elon's owns 20%, that's $2 trillion that he's got. As Starlink grows, Elon's going to have, if it becomes a $5 trillion company, then Elon's got $2.5 trillion there because he owns half of Starlink. And then Boring Company's going to be worth a ridiculous amount of money. That's another $1 trillion company. So Elon can just cut $1 trillion check. Not all at once, right? But he can literally pay for the Mars mission. So he's the customer. That's the business model. Ideally, you would have governments and private sector, paying for things, but it's not clear that that's going to materialize. But I think Elon's going to be able to pay for it himself. And he said that, the purpose of his wealth is to, make life multiplanetary. So he's the customer.
Wow. And then, we learned that the biggest constraint on rocket manufacturing is how fast they can build the Raptor engines needed. So how do you think is that just?
That was really big.
Yeah.
I thought that was really big because when you combine that with the tweet earlier today about needing another engine to make life multiplanetary, they're working on Raptor 2, which I think they're already manufacturing Raptor 2 at McAllen, Texas. So we talked about this earlier, the engines that are on the existing booster, Super Heavy booster and SN20, those are Raptor 1. Raptor 2 is coming. I think they're starting to make Raptor 2 in volume, but I think the problem is that Raptor engines are so complex that it's hard to manufacture them in high volume. Mm-hmm. So I think Elon wants to develop an engine that he can manufacture at higher volume. Because if you want to make 1,000 Starships, right, and each one of them has 6 engines, well, then you need 6,000 engines. And then you've got all these Super Heavy boosters, and each Super Heavy booster has 30 engines ballpark. Well, if you're going to have, 1,000, you probably don't need 1,000 Super Heavies, but you probably need 100. Well, there's another 3,000, engines you need. You just need a lot of engines. So I think that's it. Art Krieger wants to know what we think about the Russian satellite, anti-satellite shooting. So I think that fortunately, it looks like this one was not that bad, but it's not a good thing. Maybe you have, did you just do a video on that?
Yeah, so I talked with Jonathan McDowell like a couple hours after it happened, and he gave some really good insight. I made a video about it, but I mean, this is going to have impact for, several years to come. And obviously not all of the debris pieces are trackable, but can still cause issues. And so it's just really unfortunate and, pretty reckless.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of people saying, I mean, I don't know, this is like rumorville, but they're thinking that this, was to kind of target Starlink.
Why?
I've just seen a bunch of comments saying that this was like Russia.
I don't think Starlink is in that orbit.
Oh no.
Starlink isn't in that orbital shell. The International
Oh
Space
no. Jonathan McDowell says it could threaten Starlink satellites because even the small pieces with how fast they're going, because it's going to spread out.
It will spread out over time, but the ones that are coming down towards Starlink orbits are going to head to Earth, and they won't be in the Starlink orbital shell for very long.
Okay.
So, or I should say orbital shells. Well, I mean, Jonathan knows more about it than I do.
Yeah. He said.
Again, but you lose one Starlink satellite. It's not the end of the. It's not
right.
the end of the world.
Right.
Wipe out the International Space Station. That's a really big deal.
Right. So. That makes more sense. Well, some of these comments are getting a little interesting. A lot of
first of all, thank you to Boba Plays about thoughts on Tesla splits. I guess we're not really making a Tesla video, but I will just say personally, I don't think the split question is interesting. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it. If you are a small investor, right? So for me, if I want to buy Tesla stock, it's $1,000 a share. I'm usually buying enough. I'm sorry, I'm not poor. When I'm buying Tesla stock, I'm buying enough that the difference between a $500 share price and a $1,000 share price, or a $200 share price and a $1,000 share price, is not a big difference to me. If you're just buying one or two shares, then it can make a big difference. But I'm usually buying, like I just bought 30 shares, right? Just yesterday, I bought 30 shares. So it matters for the small investor, but the vast majority of stock is held by people who hold a lot more, and the stock split is not meaningful to them. So I think Elon likes to make it more accessible to retail investors, and I think there is a little bit of a short-term bump in the market cap of the company when they do a split, but it's not really. I'm more interested in the business of Tesla than in the stock trading aspects of Tesla. I make videos about Tesla stock, but I just don't think the splits have a long-term impact on the company. Did you have any thoughts on that?
You are the expert there. That is not my realm of. That is a question directed at you, Warren, and you answered it well. Although I will say I did take your suggestion to buy some Hertz stock.
I think it went back down a little bit. We went up.
It like went up, and I was like, oh, and then Warren is thinking that we should do a series about like learning to invest, because Ellie in space is not educated. I have some crypto. I have obviously some Hertz now and whatnot, but I don't know a lot. So maybe we'll do that. We can talk about, potential Starlink IPO or things that are investing in Elon Musk universe things. Maybe.
Well, I've also suggested that you interview other people about investing, like James Stevenson, or that. I think there's a lot of reasons why that would be good for your channel. But I would. For those who don't know, I love to shamelessly flirt with Ellie. So any chance to talk to you, Ellie, is always desired. Yes.
Well, it's something I think I ought to learn. So you bought even more Tesla, even though you have a ton of.
Yes.
Already?
I bought it $983 a share yesterday. Yes. I have an account that it's a long story, but I have an account where that had other stuff, and I was able to free up stuff that was invested in something else and use that to buy Tesla stock. That was an account that I wasn't really free to use before in this way, and now I am. And that's a long conversation that might get a little too personal. I
was gonna say, just as someone who has no experience, I mean, is it even still worth buying right now with how high?
Okay, so there's this question about where do you think Tesla's going? I mean, we're going off the SpaceX topic, but let's talk about this.
Sorry, folks.
Well, I think that most people who are watching are probably interested in Tesla. So I have this conversation all the time with people, and people are like, oh, it's overvalued. Well, right now they made 500,000 vehicles last year. A lot of people now say they're going to make 900,000 plus for the year 2021, which is an 80% rate of growth. And you just sort of have to ask yourself the question, how many vehicles will they make in 2022, 23, 24? And how big do you think Tesla will get in terms of vehicle production? And then how much profit are they making on that revenue? And what we're seeing is, this is the really big mind bender, okay? They're increasing their revenue by 80%. Their profit is growing faster than their revenue. And you're going to see this, that's going to take off like unbelievably. When Giga Berlin opens in particular, they're no longer going to have to ship cars from China or the US to Europe. They're going to make the cars there. So the transportation cost of getting your car to your customer just plummets. And the tariff goes away. So they're able to deliver cars to customers for a lot less money, and they're able to get them to the customer quicker. And then the cars that are made in China now stay in Asia. So they're saving a ridiculous amount of money on transportation costs. And then Giga Berlin and Giga Texas are going to be even more efficient factories than Giga Shanghai is already. So you add this all together, and their costs are going down while their revenue is going up. Their cost per vehicle is going down while the number of vehicles they deliver is going up. So their profit is rising even faster than their revenue. So you just ask yourself, okay, well, where's Tesla going to be in 5 years? And I think that Tesla is going to be delivering 10 to 15 million cars in 2026 and making more money per car than they're making now. And then that's not even getting into self-driving. We talked about the driving FSD beta before. What if they're actually able to start up a robotaxi network? And the profit story on robotaxi is just insane. And then you've got Tesla Bot, and then you've got artificial intelligence training computer with Dojo. And there's so many different angles to Tesla making money that right now it's a $1 trillion company. It's going to be a $10 trillion company in 5 years. So if you buy it now at 1,000, and look, this is not professional investment advice. This is just my opinion, but I back it up by buying stock, right? I just bought 30 shares at $983 a share because I believe that's going to be worth $10,000 a share in five years or so. Now, if I'm off and it's only worth $5,000 a share, I'll be all right.
Right. That's all right. Maybe I need to buy some of that too.
The challenge there is, so if you're going to buy stock, this is like the video we should be making. You got to start with this question. Can you be patient? Can you ride bumps? Right? You climb. There are moments when you're climbing that are really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you got to be patient, and you got to wait it out, and you got to figure out a way through it. So there's a lot of moments in investing that are hard. So the stock was up to 1,200 and then it fell to under 1,000. Now, I didn't worry about it at all because most of my stock I bought at $75 a share. So I'm good. If Tesla's at 750, if Tesla's at 350, I'm still up. And I'm just looking at the long term. If you're looking at where's it going to be in 5 years, you don't really care what happens this week. But some people really can't stomach the ups and downs of the market. And if you're that kind of person, then this kind of investing is not for you. Some people get caught up in a lot of other little things, like, people want to buy at the bottom. Well, you never know when you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
I happened to come really close. When I bought at 983, that was like a local minimum. It kind of was really close to the bottom that day. And I may buy more, by the way. I freed up some more money. I may buy more stock. And I was kind of like waiting to see if it dipped back below 1,000 again. Elon, for those who don't know, Elon is selling a lot of stock so that he can buy more. He's selling stock so that he can pay the taxes for when he buys more stock from his options. So he's selling like he's selling like 17 million shares, but he's acquiring 22 million shares through exercising options.
How has his selling of that stock affected that stock overall as a whole?
It pushed the price down because you have this big volume of sales.
Like a lot? It's
a supply and demand thing. Yeah, he's selling a ridiculously lot. He owns 20% of the company, right? So he's selling 10% of his stock. He's selling a lot of stock. So there's this flood of supply on the stock market. And then the question is, how much demand is there for the stock? And, so the stock dropped from 1,200 to 1,000 or so.
So now's a good time to get in if one wanted to get in?
Okay, so my opinion is it's always a good time to get in.
Okay.
If you believe, look, if you believe it's going to $10,000 a share, then whether you pay, 1,100 or 900 doesn't matter a whole lot. You want to get in now before it goes to 10,000.
Ellie, are you ever going to buy a Tesla? I would love to someday. That would be lovely. That is the goal.
You got to buy TSLA first.
Yeah.
Let the TSLA go up. You buy $10,000 in Tesla stock, and then it's worth $100,000, and then you take 50 to buy a Tesla. Oh, you want a Tesla?
Manifest.
Got a Tesla.
This is the closest I have to this. Oh man, someone does not like our financial talk. Sorry, Art.
Apparently Lorenzo likes Bernie too.
Yeah, we don't want to get political.
No.
My channel is not political.
No.
Thankfully. Art hates money. Well.
Yeah. So, was there anything else you wanted to ask me about Elon's talk tonight?
No, I think we got, is there any other questions or any other comments that you guys have just about everything that was announced tonight? More people are commenting about the Tesla stocks. Now, I don't know what's safe to talk about or if we're going to make people angry.
You just can't worry about it.
Yeah.
You can't worry about it. Somebody's always going to dislike what you say.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
So
Lorenzo is going to come on my channel of the Daily Lion. We're going to talk about Bernie Sanders, right, Lorenzo? Lorenzo, send me, go to my channel, go to the About page. You can send me an email and we can schedule a time for you and I to have a conversation about Bernie Sanders. That'll be a great conversation. I'd love to have you on the channel.
Warren likes to debate and Warren likes confrontation.
Yes.
I'm not that way. I like just to all get along and puppies and rainbows and Tesla.
I think we should tell them about the fit and flirty plan.
Well, it's kind of like a half-baked plan at the moment, right?
That's a little strong, but yeah. The plan is that I'm going to fly out to Salt Lake City and spend a week there, and Ellie and I are going to make a series of videos where she teaches me how to work out because she's fit and I'm getting fit, but I'm not as fit as she is. And so that's the fit part, is that she's fit and I'm flirty, and she's getting me in shape and I'm flirting with her. And she keeps rejecting me because she's not into me. But I'm trying to persuade her that the final episode will be like some hint of a possibility, so that way we can have a second season.
It's like our own reality TV series.
Exactly. No, it's a reality TV series. Exactly.
I think it sounds fun. Peter asked if I've driven a Tesla. Yes, I have driven a Model 3 many a time, and someday I hope to have my own, but no, they're awesome. Absolutely awesome. The regenerative braking was a little interesting to get used to, like the first, hour, but you get used to it. I have some older videos on my channel if any of you guys have like snooped real far back of the Tesla Smart Summon feature, where you can have your car come over to you like across the parking lot, which is kind of weird, or like be in the passenger seat and it drives itself with no one in the driver's seat. So it's still incredible to me that it can do that.
Yeah.
Have you played with that yet, Smart Summon?
Yeah, I just don't think that's an important feature. I played a little bit with where you're in the car and you're backing into a parking spot and the car will park for you. And it's just like, I can do that. I don't really need that feature. I think that Smart Summon will be a lot better when FSD beta takes it over. When FSD beta is no longer beta, when it goes into wide release, then it's going to be, you just send the car to go park and you go in and it comes back out. Thank you, Jermaine. Jermaine's supporting you. And very kind to me.
Jermaine is complimenting you though. You're the best Tesla YouTuber.
I think that's a little strong, but I'll take it. Art Dodger thinks I'm creepy, and Snow Chains called me Sugar Daddy, though. There was no Sugar Daddy plan in here. She's
No
gonna
sugar daddy.
She's gonna help me work out, and she's gonna help me work out, get me in shape. Those who don't know, I've lost 20 pounds, and I started working out. I'm still probably not ready to beat Ellie in a pull-ups competition, but the idea is that every episode we do an exercise. We do a competition. Maybe it's push-ups, maybe it's pull-ups, maybe it's some sort of physical exercise, not climbing because I'll lose that one in an instant. And then we have dinner, and I flirt with her, and she just keeps telling me no.
How's your deadlift?
I don't think I do deadlift, but I'm willing to try. Is that the one where you like squat down and you pick something up?
Yeah.
I've been doing deep squats.
Okay.
But without any weight. I've just been doing squats. I do like 20 a day or whatever.
Just body weight squats.
Yeah. I mean, I think I started using dumbbells.
Okay.
I started doing them with dumbbells. I have like my own. I started going to a gym because I want to meet women, and it turns out there's no women in my condo. So that I have a lot better likelihood of meeting them in a gym than I do inside my condo. There's just none in here. I don't know why they're not here. So I bought some dumbbells and some other equipment so I could work out here, but I realized I probably ought to go somewhere where there are people. I could spend a lot of time in this space.
Warren, apparently you're the best Tesla YouTuber, and SMR ranks second. Is that Stephen Mark Ryan?
Mark Ryan. I think that Rob Maurer is the best Tesla YouTuber, and Dave Lee is I think there's a lot of great Tesla YouTubers, but Rob Maurer and Dave Lee are two of my favorites. I love Stephen Mark Ryan, but I can't watch him because it's like watching a younger, more attractive version of myself who's actually funny and entertaining. I just feel inadequate when I watch Stephen Mark Ryan because he's
where does he live?
Australia.
He's Australian too. Wow.
Yeah.
All these Australian YouTubers.
Yeah. No, he's a blast.
That is so cool. You want to meet women? Learn the salsa dancing, Warren. Trust me.
Ellie is a good dancer.
I do love to dance, and I'm looking to learn salsa. However, I need to find a dance partner. So
we're gonna take lessons together when I come out for Fit and Flirty.
Do that. Why not?
Yeah. I think you would look great and I would look terrible.
Just told EDA in the live stream he's doing, you wanted to interview him. Hopefully he saw it. I tagged him.
Thank you. It is.
It is. Elon is a great dad. Can you imagine if Elon was your dad?
I would say that I think Elon is a great person. I don't know how much time he's able to give his children.
Right.
I gave my children a lot of my time, including today. Took one kid to the dentist. And I tutored calculus the other day. So I at least helped with calculus. I don't know if tutoring is the right word. I tried to help with calculus the other day. So I doubt Elon has changed many diapers. I think he's a wonderful man. I love the guy, but I wonder, he's made choices in life. That means he gets a lot less time with his personal time with his family and friends.
Right.
And those are choices he's made, and they're the right choices for him, but they're not the right choices for everybody. And I imagine he makes sure his kids get what they need, educationally in particular. I love his Ad Astra school, but the kids do not get a lot of his time. I don't think his kids get a lot of his time.
Mm-hmm. Well, even partners,
Right.
over the years,
Yeah.
But how can he,
Yeah.
Well, Warren, what do you think?
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I'm thinking? You know what I think it's time for? Rock climbing.
Are you going climbing?
I think I'm going to go climbing. Yes.
Okay. Well, this has been fun.
But to everyone who tuned in, I really appreciate it. This was, again, kind of spur of the moment. I had already planned to talk to Warren, and I think, most of you guys are excited about Starship, and most of you guys have seen the content that Warren and I made when we went to STARBASE. And so I just thought, hey, why not? I'm in the news business. Let's do it live, right?
Yeah, let's also cover this key point. If you think that Fit and Flirty is a good idea for Ellie and I to do a series of episodes where she teaches me a fitness exercise, we have some sort of physical competition, and then I flirt with her at a meal or something like that. I'm trying not to eat too much, so maybe I have to find another context for the flirting. If you think that's a good idea for a series of videos, it would be short, be like 5 or 6 videos. Let us know in the comments.
Oh, I love this one. I'm
And
gonna
if you think it's a terrible idea, then we're gonna do it. I'm gonna try to get her to do it anyway.
we would like to know if this is something you even would watch, because
Yeah.
this is like really kind of out there. I'm gonna climb into bed. I love that. Climbing pun. Open a GoFundMe. Let's get Eliana a new Tesla. There's a new sheriff in town. You know what? If you guys want to do that, that would be pretty cool. Anything with both of you on YouTube is great. Oh, Warren will look like a dork with Ellie. Oh.
That's expected. Who said anything different? Somebody made a comment about my hair, like it looked like Lex Friedman cut it. I'm like, seriously, Ellie, do you think I should get like hair implants like Elon did? Would that make me more attractive to women?
The hair plugs?
Yeah, Elon used to have a hairline like this, and now all of a sudden he's got hair.
Oh, I know. I've seen.
It worked for him, right?
I don't know. How much does it cost?
I don't know, $5,000-$10,000, something like that. It's like 10 Tesla stock, 10 shares of Tesla.
I don't know if you need it. Oh,
He likes the video series.
We have a winner, Jermaine Ellis. Make that video series. All right, I need to start coming up with some workouts.
All right. I think maybe in the spring. I'm going to come up in March.
Okay, that's my birthday month.
All right, it's my birthday month. Oh, we just found out we have something in common. It's my birthday month too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So we're gonna get fit and flirty for our birthdays, because I feel like whenever you're turning a year older, it's a great time, and you should think about this like months in advance. This was actually the impetus for me doing my first bodybuilding show. Was I was like, what's the best gift that I can give to myself? And I'm like, oh, I've always wanted, to be in the best shape of my life. Well, I committed in November, and then my birthday was in March. So by the time the competition was over and I was looking great, feeling great. So.
Okay, and just for a hint for people of the show, the best thing I could do for my birthday is spend a week with Ellie.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, $20 toward my Tesla fund. You guys.
Very nice, Zeke.
We're gonna make it happen. We are going to get a Tesla. Is white like the default color right now?
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah.
I believe that now for Model 3, you can also get silver as the default color.
I think I'd get white. I think I'd get white.
White is really good in hot climates too. So when I get you, when you move to Florida or Texas, then you're gonna like that car.
Peter, you can't go now. You guys are so sweet. Yes. Yeah. Well, now we have a plan, and maybe we'll see each other in January if we can get down to. It's so hard. Like I hope they have like a good like window, like a very specific time frame, because unlike
no, we're not gonna have that.
No, like I would have to take time off, but I'm hoping that I can get down there. It's really important to me.
Yeah.
I think about that trip all the time. It was so much fun. I was looking at it on a map, I think yesterday, and I was like, wow, we were like in Mexico. I mean, it's really clear there on the map.
Cybertruck.
Okay, I'm down for that too.
No, and for you, it was a 4-day trip. For me, it was like a 12-day trip, because I followed that by going to Austin and then out to Los Angeles and doing the Inspiration 420 drive, picked up my Tesla and drove it across the country with 3 friends. So that was a really big, that was actually, I almost want to say that was a life-changing trip for me, because I hadn't really experienced that level of freedom of going off on an adventure in a very, very long time.
Right.
So I think that was a big deal for me. Krav Maga classes. All right, we're gonna do some martial arts. Krav
Maga. And you also learn how big the state of Texas truly is, because you had to drive across the whole damn huge state.
That's a big state.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah. Good Mexican food, good barbecue, right?
Oh
Yeah,
my
well,
God.
yeah.
So good. Like, I think that place we went to, my dinner was like $7. So good. Still dream about that food.
Yeah.
What were they called? The little chicken flautitas or something?
Flautas.
Flautas.
Yeah.
Would love to go to Boca Chica with Ellie. I want to go back there. That would be cool if we did like some meet and greet. Although I feel like it's a haul to get down there.
We tried to do that on our Inspiration 420 mission, where we told a couple of people where we're going to be at a couple of spots, and it was hard to get people. You know, there was like one person showed up at one thing, and a few people showed up at another thing, but mostly we, you know, it's hard to get people to show. I tried to get, you know, I invited my Patreons. You know, I have 190 Patreon supporters, and I invited them to come out to different locations.
Wow, look at you.
It just didn't happen. So
That's crazy. I didn't realize you had so many Patreon supporters. That's awesome.
no,
Good for you.
I'm rocking it, man.
You're rocking it. Well, I'm gonna go rock it.
Go
Literally.
climb.
Yes.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes. Thank you everyone for watching. I so appreciate it. And
Remember, comment about Fit and Flirty.
yes, leave
Say what you think in the comments.
your comment. Maybe we'll make a poll on our community tab.
Twitter.